One. All right, Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom.
All right, first and foremost, we have to give all the praises, honor, and glory unto the Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh,
Yahweh.
Bashem,
Bashem.
Bashem, Yahweh
Yahweh
Shai,
Yahushai,
Shai.
Bashem,
Baruch,
Bashem.
Rukai Kadash.
Rakakadash.
All right, double honors and respect to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and taught us this truth. Peace and salutations to the Lord's elect, the hopeful elect and the one-third, your brother Salah.
Brother
Yahweh Shai.
Brock, Brother Brock.
All right, and in today's listen, we're gonna be covering this new bill, that where Caesar Nero, right, and basically, these wicked elites, man, they're making it now that they're basically that they're basically gonna arrest, homeless people and people with mental disabilities, even if you have like a minute disability called, such as like ADHD, OCD, or whatever, man. Like these devils, man. They pass these unjust laws, right? Right, where they could just like lock you up or send you to like an institution indefinitely, man, and just throw away the keys, man. So, we're gonna play a couple of videos else, but we're gonna open up with the scripture. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth he hath but a short time. And yeah, man, we know this devil Esau Edom, man. He's coming down with all these things, right? Because his rulership's about to end, right? He's about to launch his enterprise, which is going to be that MOTB, that mark of the beast, right? Which is the RFID micro C hip, right? Or the Neuralink, the implant that's gonna be on your brain, pertaining to Revelation chapter 13, 16 on down, right? Right, all these bills that are being passed right now is to wage war on the American people, or the citizens of Babylon the Great, right? Why? Because Esau's getting ready, to implement his new system, right? So before we play the first video, we're gonna read the copyright statement. Let me scroll down. All right, so this is the copyright disclaimer. All right, so disclaimer, copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All right, so with that out of the way, we're gonna play the first video. This was sent to me by the brother Barack on Instagram, and here it is. It was originally uploaded by Tazapanya 144.
Plainly. Today, an executive order was passed by the Trump administration, and it states that if you have any type of DSM-5 diagnoses, ADHD, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or any type of neurodivergency, or if you're unhoused/homeless, the United States government can involuntarily institutionalize you against your will. There's no trial, there's no judge, there's no jury. If you're seen as a risk to society, or you push back against the administration in any kind of opposition, protest, vocalization, social media, they can essentially put you in an institution and throw away the key. This is about control, and first they came for the immigrants, and now they're coming for those with any type of mental health diagnoses. And if you think that this is a conspiracy theory, it's not. Please read up on the executive orders passed today, July 24th, 2025.
So basically, right, you heard what she said. Like if you're in any way, shape, or form, protesting against the government, like they'll say you have some sort of mental disorder and just lock you up, man. So like you don't even have to have any sort of mental disorder. If you just simply fucking agree, Slovakia, that was Satan. If you just simply disagree with them, right? Right, they could just lock your ass up, man, and this is gonna lead up, to the persecution of the prophets, right? And that's gonna be the fame of the word right there. Is when they take, the brothers, preaching this word off the streets, man. And locking certain of us up, right? And so we're gonna read the next precept.
Hey, 144, brother.
A 1044 call law Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai.
Oh, yeah, Bashmi Awashai.
Good catch. That was the spirit right there, right? So this is the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 10. It says here, "Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." And yeah, man, and that goes back to what Yahushua he said in the book of Matthew, right? He that endures until the end, the same shall be saved, right? Right. So we got to suffer and endure these things, right? For the elect's sake, right? That hopefully Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man, by us, not taking the guillotine or taking however they're gonna take us out, and not taking the RFID micro C hip, the charagma, that mark of the beast, right? By us not taking it, and suffering these things, right? Lord willing, they're gonna be the first that's gonna get raised up. The ones that believed in this truth, and that pushed the work, man.
And I have a, Salakia.
Go ahead, but go ahead, Doc.
I was going to say I have a precept, this book of 2 Timothy 2 and 3. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. So, you're supposed to endure that hardness, whatever we go through here, Jacob's trouble. You're supposed to be a good soldier. That's your reasonable service. To be in the spirit. And to give your body a living sacrifice. The scriptures say to do.
I'm gonna bring something out as well. Um, actually, if you want to, do you want to add on to that what you were saying, or
Go ahead.
okay? So this is the book of Matthew 24 and 22. It said, "If those days had not been cut short, no one would survive. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be shortened." And you see these things happening right now. Like we hate living in this fucking place. We hate living in this flesh. And now the rules are getting way more and more worse. So they say if a guy has something like ADHD, right? Which Esau gives oftentimes these are caused by the medications they give you in the first place, right? And they can literally just throw you in jail and use that as an excuse to just basically throw you in jail. We're coming to a time where they're gonna be doing stuff like that. So for the sake of the elect, these days are gonna be shortened. That's why we have that feeling of time speeding up, right? You know.
Right, and that's right, man. While we're in this walk, man, while we got and suffer and endure all these things, man, we got to fight that good fight of faith, right? Right. Because what's gonna happen right now is, when they start locking people up is right, brothers brothers and some of you sisters, right? But mainly I'm speaking to your brothers, right? Because the Lord deals with men, right? Yahweh Bashim Yahshua deal with in the kingdom of men, like you brothers, you guys are seriously going to be tested. We're going to be tempted. And Lord willing, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, he'll provide us a way out of these things. If we stay faithful. If we you know if you do our best. To follow the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability. Not saying that the law is going to save us, but by us keeping our faith to Him. And that involves what us studying, reading, teaching, going out on the highways and hedges, man, and just by us staying in the spirit, right, to the best we can, right. Fighting these demons by using, rebuking these demons, right? But by using precepts and scriptures, And hopefully, Lord willing, Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, might deliver us from said perils, right? Because the Lord can easily, cast us away, man, and that goes along, with the fear of Yahweh Bashim Yahshua.
That's why, brother, we gotta have not only that fear, but we gotta continue to endure and march towards that prize. This is the book of Philippians 3:14. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of Yahweh and Yahweh and Hamashiach Yahushai. So we got to continue to keep walking forward, man. Pushing through whatever obstacles that Satan tries to put against us. Because it continues to ramp up. These demons are always giving us hell. But we got to have faith. And march towards that prize, that reward.
Yeah,
All the things we've been promised.
and Salaki, and that's right, brother, man. And and the stuff that we're gonna go through, man, like that's why we have all these examples in the scriptures, right? Just like when Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, when the king, uh, and when the king threw them in the furnace, Yahushua was in the midst of them, and they were delivered. Why? Because they didn't bend the knee, right? Right, and or when Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, you, you know you know like he had faith in the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, who delivered him after he stayed there for 3 days, right? The lions could have attacked him, but what the Lord put the spirit on them not to attack them, right. So the Lord, man, and like if we stay faithful, right, the Lord will provide us a way out,
And isn't there? So like, go keep going.
I,
you
I
done, brother.
was gonna say, stay faithful. You gotta think of the faith of the mustard seed. You gotta have that seed, man. It continues to grows into a big tree.
Did you bring?
I mean, so like, yeah, what's that?
No, continue.
Yeah, you gotta try to be like that mustard seed, the faith of a mustard seed. We need faith. Faith is what's gonna get us through this. Faith is what gives endurance. Faith is what gives fear.
And along with faith, man, we gotta believe, man, because along with faith, right, it's a gift from the Lord Yahweh Shai. We gotta believe that he will deliver us, right, and us part of believing is by us doing these works and fighting that good fight of faith, which a part of that is trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability. Again, not that it'll save us, but that's us showing our faith, right? Because what the Lord judges what's in your mind, what's in your heart, and if you have any wickedness, as the elder brother ICR has brought out, right? The Lord's putting a candlestick underneath Israel, right? And so like, he'll expose whatever wickedness that you have in your heart, your mind, like, and he'll magnify that, right? That's why you pray. That's why we always gotta pray, pray and say in repentance that we don't crash out, that these crash out demons don't hop on us, and that we endure to the end, right? So I'm gonna grab a couple of precepts, right?
Um, I was gonna bring something out. If you want to go, or
Go ahead, brother.
yeah. So this is the book of Matthew 24:8. It says, "All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake." So we're gonna be persecuted for following this truth, and many of us will be, and some may have it worse than others, right? But these people, the reason they hate you is because you know some people will just hate you just because their spirit is just it's just it's a spiritual thing. They don't, for no reason, they'll just start hating you, whether it's at your job, whether it's at, you know, the grocery store. Yeah, it needs to be a spiritual thing. They'll just hate you, and we have to fucking deal with that. You know.
And again, that's us keeping keeping that good fight of faith, right? So so this is the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, starting at verse 8. For by grace you are saved through faith, and not of yourselves. It is a gift of God, a gift of Yahweh, not of works, least any man should boast, right? Right, because why? The elect were preordained from the very beginning, right? They had this testimony of Yahweh Bashim Yashai, which the elect, Lord willing, we are part of. They had this, beforehand, from the very beginning, and kept through, and kept through it throughout these years, when they came back on Earth, right? The truth just kept coming back to them, right? Right, this, us having this faith, right, is what's gonna save us in these times, right? Because when Esau, man, once that MOTB starts rolling out, once once his troops start laying his hands on the elect, man, this is what's gonna happen, right? Right. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 59, verse 19. So shall they fear the name of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yashai from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yashai shall lift up a standard against him. And whatever that standard is, whether brothers are going to get spiritual powers, man, or whether they're going to be saved by a chariot, or if Michael himself is going to come down, and save the elect, man. I mean, that's gonna be that standard that the Lord is gonna present. To save His elect, and while also magnifying His power against these other nations, right? Right, because right now, man, Esau, man, with his blessing on the left hand side, he has all these weapons, right? He has all this technology, to track Jay, monitor his movements, right? Pinpoint him. But guess what? The Lord can make it so that we can be hidden from all these said perils, right? Right, he could put some sort of spiritual cloaking device on us. Yes, or he could just completely make us invisible, man. Just make us vanish in thin air. But we're literally still standing like right next to these devils, man. And that's the best part about spiritual power, right? Right. So right, and another example, when Lot and his family, when they were leaving Sodom and Gomorrah, when the Lord was destroying it, he told them not to turn back. Why? Well, we learned from the elder apostle Tahar that that the Lord actually put a force field, behind their back, and he told them not to turn away, because when they turned away, that's when that force field's not going to work, and they'll get instantly vaporized, in the dust. Hence why, Lot's wife, right, became a pillar of salt, quote unquote, but really she got incinerated, from that intense heat from from the chariot fire from the angels, right? Right, because why? She looked back. She she had that desire for Sodom and Gomorrah, and we know that in modern day Sodom and Gomorrah is in here, Babylon the Great, America. So we're not, so we're not, so we should have absolutely no interest in wanting to, as far as wanting to, return this wicked place, because why? It's on its way out the door, man. We see all these bills being passed. We see, Caesar Nero getting exposed. For the base man that he is. Going on freaking Lolly Island with Jeffrey Epstein, and all that madness, man. Like Esau's getting exposed, man, on all levels.
It's time's only for a moment.
Yeah, yeah, that's right, man. Man, let me and let's get that precept. This is the book of Job, chapter 20, verse 5. The triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Through through his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reaches unto the clouds. Yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and he shall not be found. Yeah, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. And yeah, man, that's eventually what's gonna happen to Esau, Edom, man. Once Yahweh Shai comes down, man, and man, these motherfuckers, they're gonna get destroyed. We're gonna put them in slavery, and after that 1,000 years, man, they're gonna get burnt up in the pit, pertaining to the book of Obadiah. All these Edomites, they just gonna be forgotten about, like their own dung, like shit, man. You're just not gonna care about it, right?
I can bring something out for that. This is book of Second Ezra's. Let's see, Second Ezra's. Let's see, 1 second. Yeah, so Second Ezra's 2:27. It says, "Be not wary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness cometh, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance." When it is going to be when Jacob's trouble happens, these not only are these how you say, these it's going to be like a purge like scenario, right? But people can be flipping the fuck out, but the men of the Lord are gonna, we're gonna be collected because we know what's gonna happen afterward. That is basically just like how you say, just the what's it, we because we'll know then. That's basically confirmation right there. We're here. We're close. We're close. We're at the end. We're there. We're not gonna be here for much for much longer. You know.
That's right, because what does the scripture say about that, for for knowing that all these things are about to come.
And these things, man, these things are, it's ridiculous, man. Esau, he always does these things where he gets you reeled in with he puts the carrot on the stick, and then he fucking he turns his back on you. You know, this man always pretends to be your friend, and then he basically, when he has that opportunity, he fucks you over, and people are now, people are seeing that, but you still trust in the so-called white man. He puts a couple, he gives you a stimulus check, he gives you free food, gives you food stamps, and you know what I'm saying, and you trust in this man, and
Throws
then
you a couple bones,
yeah,
and you think
exactly.
you're good. That's how Esau acts. That's his nature. He gotta get to you first.
And you see, and all that is distractions from what he's actually doing, right? Which is what, passing all these unrighteous laws and decrees, so he can entrap all you people, man. But that's prophecy, anyways, right? Right, and right, and again, and back to what Brother Barak is saying, man. That it is a blessing to know these, right? Because that's what's gonna keep us stable during these times, right? Is knowing what's going to come, right? So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 33, verse 6. So starting at verse 6, and it says here, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and the strength of salvation, and the fear of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahshai is his treasure. Behold, the valiant one shall cry without, the ambassador of peace shall weep bitterly. The highways lie waste, the wayfaring man ceaseth. He hath broken the covenant, he hath despised the cities, he regardeth no man. And yeah, man, yeah, man, Esau, as Esau, Edom, as Esau's kingdom, as we see, his kingdom fall in real time, and as we see this man about to lose everything, right? We're rejoicing. Why? Is because this man's on his way out, and we about to get our kingdom, right? We just gotta keep enduring, brothers, and few sisters. right? All right, so we're gonna play the
Uh,
next. Oh, go ahead, brother. Slack you.
yeah, no, and I'm gonna bring out something else. This book of Lamentations 3:27. It is good for a man to bear a yoke while he is young. So, you young brothers, I'm a young brother. We have a couple of young brothers right here. We're pretty much all pretty young, right? You know, um, like there's a lot of things that are fucking distracting, man. Especially this fucking culture, this social media. Everybody's always trying to be the best person. So you got to just understand that when you're in this truth, you have something that nobody else has. To know the names of Yahweh Shemir Shai, because there's people in this world, man. They go on all these different fucking side quests and shit. And it's cool to have hobbies and stuff. We can have things that we do. But just some of these people they just say, "Oh, I'll do it later," and then ultimately the Lord comes and takes them. So you got to
Hey,
be, yeah, you got to be thankful that you are able to hear these proper names of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai.
yeah, and also, the brotherhood. Don't forsake the brotherhood because you could really get poured up in the spirit from the fellow Akim that are laboring with you. They're doing the same thing. They have similar battles. So, lean on that brotherhood because it says, you know, iron sharpens iron. So you gotta be there for your fellow Akim. And Proverbs 17:17, a friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. So when you're enduring, when you're going through these battles in this present temporal evil world in this flesh, you have your brothers, like I said, laboring with you. They're going through it with you. Also lean on them at times when you need them. That's what they're there for.
Hey, that's right, man. And another thing to add with the brotherhood, right? This is the book of First Thessalonians, chapter 4, verse 18, and it says here, "Wherefore we comfort one another with these words," right? And what words? These words of prophecy, man. This knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that was given unto Yahweh, that was given unto us from Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, through the Holy Spirit, right? Right, right? The Ruach Hakodesh, right, is also called the Comforter, man. This is who we lean on. When we have something troubling us in the flesh, when we have demons hop on us, man. Brothers can help us. Pull a precept, or we just sit there and meditate, and pray that Yahweh Bashim, gives us the answers, right? Like 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 I'll give an example. Like a brother, he could be having like some sort of rage demons or whatever, and if he just prays and meditates, or or asks another brother, right? They'll just give him a precept, rebuking these crash out thoughts, right?
You
Right, and they'll calm you down, right? Like say like you're mad about what, like say like for me, for example, like you're mad that like your parents or whatever, like they'll gaslight you, and you'll think like they'll lie on you or whatever, but guess what, yeah, how Shai was lied on, like didn't the
yeah.
scripture say he had to sit with the sinners, man? And didn't the scripture say like the servant is not greater than his master? Like if you how Shai had to suffer getting lied on, being getting falsely accused, man, well, so do we, man.
Yeah, because we're gonna experience the same things. 'Cause you might have the spirit of why is this happening to me? You know, like that kind of like woe is me spirit. But at the same time, you gotta remember, man. Yeah, Howard Shaw was going through the same things, man. He had people turn out against him. You got and ultimately, man, it's just more of a sign you could be possibly, maybe even the hopeful elect. That
Bring out that precept.
Yeah,
From the words of Yahweh Shai himself. Book of First John 15:18. If the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. So our Savior Yahweh Shai, he's the one that was going through it long before we did.
yeah,
But it's all written.
And what
Oh, we
is
know the
Lord?
ending.
Lord said, "I when I created you, I knew you.
Yeah,
Before I made you in the
Jeremiah.
womb, I knew you."
Before me in
Right.
the
So
womb.
so if we were made in this world, right? When we were made, the Lord, what's it called? He knew we wouldn't want to. He knew that we were gonna be like these fucking people, man. These people all going out to concerts, clapping their hands. Fucking, sitting down with the family. We don't. A lot of us don't get that luxury, man. We don't get to sit down with our family. But live in peace.
Yeah.
There's always some fucking bullshit, and there's always some. 1 month you might have a fucking Edomite bothering you. The next month you might have some fucking Moabite fucking bothering you,
Or some 2/3.
or
You
some
know,
two third.
the days
Every
before,
fucking month.
the days of sitting at the family dinner table. Like the days back then are long gone over.
Yeah, you know,
And this is
it, it,
First Peter.
yeah,
1 Peter 2:9. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and a holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should shew forth the praises of him who hath called you out of his darkness into his marvelous light. So Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, he's calling us into that light. We gotta be separate. Light's not dirty. Light, is clear, it's bright, it's pure. That's why we gotta be set apart in these days, man. You gotta speak according to the oracles of Yahweh, and put off that flesh.
And that's all part of keeping that good fight of faith, right? Keeping ourselves keeping ourselves perfect in the sight of Yahweh Shai. And perfect doesn't mean like, oh, we get every single detail right. The word perfect means what? Blameless. We gotta be blameless before the throne of Yahweh Shai. Right. Right. So unless you brothers have any more precepts, I'm gonna play the next video, and
I do have a precept.
go ahead.
So, book of, and just like you were saying, this precept, Matthew 6:22. The light of the body is the eye, and therefore thy eye be single, the whole body shall be full of light. So that comes with when you're fighting this fight, you're putting off your flesh, being the spirit. You gotta meditate on pure thoughts. Meditate on things of the spirit that please the Father. Otherwise, you're gonna start getting those crash out thoughts. The flesh is gonna make you want to bug out and do things that your spirit doesn't want you to do. So just remember that precept.
And there's another precept. If ye walk in the spirit, right? All right, this is the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 16. And it says here, "This I say, hey, then walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to one another, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law." Right. Right. So basically, right. If we do our best, to stay in the spirit, right. We're not gonna have those desires that of us wanting to fulfill the lust of our flesh, right. They're not gonna be as strong as if we meditate on precepts, rebuking whatever demons come with us, through precepts, by what by what by experiences, that has happened, throughout the scriptures, right. Things that the Yahushai went through, things that the previous prophets had went through. These are weapons of warfare, right. Against these principalities, as the scripture says, right.
As it talks about in Ephesians 6:12. Wrestling not against just flesh and blood, against spirits.
That's right, man. And with the spiritual warfare, that comes with us, exposing this damn devil. right? You know, so I'm gonna play the next video unless you guys have more stuff you want to bring out.
Right.
All right, all right. So again, I already brought out the copyright disclaimer, but I'm just gonna show it again. Right, I've already read this, so we're gonna play the next video. This is brought up from the brother of Arrows of Ignition 144, and he's also gonna bring about the copyright disclaimer. So it's been brought out like 3 times. So you know, I'm gonna stream it on my end so you brothers can see it. All right, here it is.
This is the most disturbing and alarming piece of information I have ever had to share. Trump just signed an executive order criminalizing homelessness and directing states to institutionalize individuals with mental health disorders and substance abuse disorders. This is not a joke. The ACLU is all over this. I don't know why this isn't on every single news outlet. Share this information with
Slocky, what was up? What was up?
Yeah. I said it sounds like a joke because it's so fucking foolish, but no, it's real.
It's ridiculous, right? And no, like I know you're not laughing because it's actually funny. It's not fun. It's funny, like you're
Because think about it, man. You know, you got homeless people. You know, you're gonna start some of these people. You know, some of them. You know, the thing is, some of these people have to be homeless because you know the price of the rent, you know, are fucking through the roof, right? And you got places, you got a shitty bedroom, a 2-bedroom apartment, $2,800. You know, fucking absurd. You know, some people don't got a choice. But anyway, yeah, continue.
No, yeah, all right.
Absolutely everybody and anybody you can. This is truly unimaginable. The name of this executive order is Ending Crime and Disorder on American Streets. You, of course, can go to the whitehouse.gov and read the entire order. I'll briefly go over what it's about, but read the entire order. It's so specific. This is gross. The executive order directs the Justice Department to expand indefinite forced treatment for people with mental health disabilities and substance use disorder, and those living on the street who cannot care for themselves. Using the terms cannot care for themselves could mean anything. They could do away with disability altogether. I mean, this is absolutely... It's scary, but it's insane. The order implies to eliminate federal funding for evidence-based programs like harm reduction and housing first, which saves lives. And it directs federal funds towards cities and states that criminalize substance use disorder and punish people for sleeping outdoors. And it specifically talks about urban camping and things of that nature. You know, for those people who live like the van life and travel and sleep in their vans and cars and whatnot, that's going to be done. You're going to be punished, arrested. The order also calls for increased federal data collection on unhoused people and those with mental health disabilities. This is extremely alarming. I mean, like I told you, the ACLU is all over this, but instead of funding services and support, this administration is prioritizing profiling and control. I mean, this is Project 2025 all day. And every single human being should be concerned about this. And if you're not, just please get off my platform. I'm done. I will keep you updated with this, of course. Check out the link. Go to whitehouse.gov and read the entire order. It's very disturbing. Please like, follow, and share so that I can continue to provide you with content, but get this information out there. More people need to read this order and talk about it. I appreciate you being here.
All right, so let's get a precept out. All right, this is the book of Sirach, or the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10, verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Right.
And that's exactly what you're seeing right now. You know, you starting to see this man. You know, he's putting out all these rules to kind of get that last, that last bit of power, control. But we're seeing his woman leave him. We're seeing his country, basically fall out of his hands. You've seen everything about collapsing. You know, but it's mainly the woman leaving. The Edomite man and going with the Israelite man. That's one of the first signs you see of transference of a kingdom.
Because his whole society is about to collapse. On top of that, right, he's provoking the people. He's provoking civil unrest among the people, right? It's so like when there is violence among the streets, pertaining to Study and Ezra, when Ezra saw the people killing each other like madmen for like what, like a pack of ketchup, right? That's what Esau, man. That's when Esau's gonna roll out his troops, right, and say oh, we have the solution, right? He's gonna have his order of kill, and roll out his digital RFID micro chip, right? Like he wants these people to rebel, which actually will happen, right? Right, we don't know when, but this will happen, right? Like he wants all this madness to play out, so he can roll that digital RFID microchip, right? Right, and this is all part of the Lord's plan, right? To to what this Sephiroth elect, right? And once he gathers his elect, that's when Babylon the Great is going to get nuked, and that's when the kingdom of heaven is going to get established. Starting with Yahweh Bashim Shai, the 144,000, right? And the rest of the elect, right, right. To rule the earth as it is in the kingdom of heaven. All right, so let me get another scripture. All right, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 94, verse 20. It says here, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. But the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yashai is my defense, and my God Yahweh is the rock of my refuge. And he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yeah, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yashai, our God, shall cut them off." And that's what he's about to do, man. Once martial law gets rolled out, once they implement that RFID micro chip, and once he does that, once he's about to chip everyone, then that's when the Lord's is gonna rain on them with them ICBM nuclear missiles, right? And beam up select, and then establish the kingdom, right, in the new spiritual bodies, which is the second covenant, right? So if you brothers have any more precepts, I'm I would like to close off from here.
That's all for me, brother.
Yeah, that's all from me.
All right, so with that, we're gonna end off the video lesson for right here. Hope this video was edifying, to you Akim, and if you Akwath, that maybe we be listening and learning, and with that, we have to say, Call Holayim La, Abanawa, Yahweh,
Yeah.
Yahweh,
Hashem.
Hashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh
Yahweh
Shah.
Shai,
Ba Hashem,
Hashem,
Ruka Akadash.
Kadash.
Kadash.
All right, double honor. honors and respect to our apostles and elders, the great millstone, who rule well and taught us this truth. Peace and salutations to the Lord's elect, the hopeful elect and the 1/3, Brother Salah.
Brother Barack.
But yeah, what's up?
With that, I'd like to say shalom.
Shalom.